Self Parenting. If you truly loved yourself, you could never hurt another. Buddha. Everyone knows how we were brought up will have left a deep mark on how we think, feel and act, which in turn will affect how we parent. Each thought carries an emotion that directly impacts how we act or react to a situation. This chapter is written especially for adults who did not, or believe that they did not, have the childhood they wanted or desired. Perhaps you felt something was missing or unjust, or in some cases your parents were too preoccupied with their own interests or were simply busy working away from home. I want to open your eyes to new possibilities and new techniques that could benefit you and your children's lives. With the awareness of new information, you can learn to parent consciously, knowing why you do certain things that you do. I'm going to show you how you can give yourself that experience of a happy childhood when you want it. In Chapter 2, Love and Connection, I touched on the 6 human needs and what we would do to meet those needs. We all need to have our needs met, whether we are the most selfless being or not. This is our animal instinct. Over the years, you have conditioned your body in certain ways, like having buttons on them, which when they are pushed, are guaranteed to make you react in certain ways because of neurons that wire together. Some things make you tick, while others are abhorrent to you. Most of these buttons were planted inside our bodies during our childhood by our parents and our environment, mostly subconsciously. The earlier they were in place, the stronger their effect. You might feel that you overreacted afterwards when you have calmed down. People tend to overreact when they are under stress, feel threatened, are losing control, or feel powerless, and then become narrowly focused and selfish. Now you know why you did what you did, and you can change it if you don't like it. It wasn't your fault up to this point because you were not aware of this. In an ideal world, your parents would have understood about their own needs and how to meet them, so that they could have been happy and fulfilled beings who were totally devoted to your needs and would have nurtured you and protected you with love from their hearts. How many of us have experienced that kind of ideal parenting because I don't believe it exists? I would love to hear from you if you had it. I would love to know how you were doing now and what was your journey like up to this point. In reality, I hear many stories like mine, which was a quite uneventful, so-called normal childhood, being born into a performing arts family with both parents busy touring around China while I was looked after by 6 different nannies at different times. I had few cherished memories apart from my school lunch, which was served at a renowned Chinese restaurant called Makai, and those moments on my parents' return from their tours with lots of presents, which were probably their way for making up for their guilt at not being there for me, if you were to ask a psychologist. They were never around long enough either to offer encouragement or guidance, so that I am the product of a truly free-range parenting style. For many decades, I actually struggled in silence, feeling alone, inadequate and melancholy, which I will describe in more detail in my upcoming autobiography, Life Begins at 50. According to early attachment theory, Bowlby suggests that our recipe for an emotional bond with a primary carer is established in childhood. He gives importance to having one figure, the mother, the father, or the nanny, for the child to attach himself to as a safe haven and who can act as a secure base in times of distress during at least the first 2 years of his life. A secure attachment helps regulate our automatic nervous system so that our bodily functions become more organized and remain in homeostasis, a healthy state. In this state, we feel safe, confident, cooperative, caring, happy, creative, loved and connected, trusting, and we are able to express ourselves, balance our emotions, self-regulate, and be stress resilient. You can observe children who readily turn to their parents at times of distress and find comfort from their parents' reassurance. They feel safe to venture out and explore their environment because they know they can always return to their parents as a secure base. However, without secure attachment in childhood, trauma can result. Childhood trauma can result from various forms of child abuse to a minor surgery or any period of separation from the main carer. Each child is different, and so is their stress resilience and their threshold of mental or physical pain. Sometimes trauma can occur even when the parent is physically around, but without being truly present due to the lack of parental attunement. Some of the reasons for this lack of attunement could be due to parental substance misuse, depression, other mental or physical ill health, or special learning needs, and this can set their children's survival style, fight or flight response, in motion. People with poor attachment tend to become more self-focused, vacant, suspicious, critical, rigid, impulsive, emotional, intolerant, anxious, fearful, disorganized, disorientated, and retreat from goal-directed activities. These tendencies continue to impact their adult life, penetrating into all aspects of their lives, including school, college, job, home, and relationships. You can now sense the critical importance of having a secure attachment, but you may be wondering what you can do if you did not have one. There is hope. Scientists have found an increasing amount of evidence that you can train your mind and change your brain. This is known as neuroplasticity. Results from scientific research have shown that the neurons, nerve cells in the brain, develop to compensate for injury and disease and to adjust their activities in response to new situations or changes in their environment. The brain apparently has the ability to rewire itself, making new connections in response to new information and experiences. Neuroplasticity was originally believed to occur in children and remain unchanged throughout adulthood. However, this was found to be incorrect. Over the past 10 years, a number of studies have been carried out among patients with brain injuries. It was observed that there were micro changes to neurons and new neural networks, resulting in remapping in healthy parts of the brain to restore some of the lost functions. Your brain is changed by your experiences every day. Developing new habits or functions is like visiting a new place for the first time, and you require sat-nav initially. It requires your intention and effort. If you keep doing it regularly, after a number of times, you can get there with little effort. Once your brain is conditioned with the new information, it gets easier for your body to follow suit, do the things that it is being signaled to do. It becomes automatic in the end. You might be familiar with the saying, use it or lose it. If we continue learning, receiving new information, our brain will continue to develop new synaptic connections between neurons, while for unused connections, we lose them after some time. Recent research on a group of nerve cells called mirror neurons shows that they fire regardless of whether you perform a task or observe a task. The potential implications of this have sparked huge interest among scientists. Can you recall a moment when you were feeding your child? You opened your mouth as the spoon approached his mouth. This is not usually a conscious behaviour. You had the intention in your mind of seeing your child opening his mouth, and your body mirrored it, so it opened as well. In return, your child mimics your opening his mouth for the spoonful of food when his mirror neurons are at work. Here is another example. You were watching your home team playing on television. Your team won the match. Can you recall how that felt? You felt like you were on top of the world. You felt like a champion, because that is true to your mind what you have perceived and believed. You scream for victory, and tears run down your face, because the brain does not distinguish whether it is you who is winning or the team you are watching. So, why not create some mind movies to put yourself in that triumphant state of being? The mind leads and the body follows. If you do this, you can expect some real changes in your physical world. Since the brain doesn't appear to distinguish whether it is a real experience or an imagined one, you can live the childhood you want, whenever you want, on demand, by creating your own mind movies so that you can break the unwanted thought-feeling patterns and create new ones, simply by thinking the wanted thought alone. The body knows how to generate the amazing feelings that automatically alter the biochemical changes in your body, and then comes the new expressions of your inner and outer world, including how you sit, walk, speak, and behave in time. Like the development of any habit, this requires regular practice. Treat yourself to this time alone with yourself. To start with, set 5 to 10 minutes aside daily to make peace with yourself, and then increase the length of time as you progress. The more you practice, the easier it gets. Practice through being mindful of your breathing or body sensations. What story or feelings come to mind? Being present, compassionate and loving towards your young self. You know what you wanted from your parents and how you wanted it. Give it to yourself now. Hug yourself in the way you would love to have been hugged as a child. Feel a pair of gentle arms around you or a big squeeze, and feel the warmth now. Feel that love now. What praise do you want to hear from your parents? Tell yourself now. With practice, you become empowered, nurtured, and feel protected and connected to yourself and others. It must have been so heavy and exhausting to carry the baggage from the past, so now is a good time to drop this where it belongs, in the past. You are not your past. With regular practice, you will not rewrite your history, but you will transform your experience of that history. You will grow stronger in your mind. You will become emotionally more mature, and you will assign events in the past with new meanings, from pain to growth, from failure to preparation, from learning to wisdom. Your child and the people around you are also able to mimic what you do, possibly subconsciously, so be aware of your own state, what you are thinking and feeling. Check yourself in the mirror on the wall to make sure that your eyes are smiling, friendly, humorous, warm and welcoming, which will lead to your smiling lips and whole open body gesture. Daily mindfulness exercise or meditation is beneficial for physical and mental well-being. Feeling the body, relaxing the body, helps to develop a sense of here and now. It heightens the awareness of self and others so that you are more in tune and understand others' needs and your own needs better, and you are more in harmony with your environment. There are other healing ways that you can experience. I've found that the process of writing this parenting book has not only provided information that benefits parents and parents-to-be, but also has had a huge therapeutic power to my own wounds in my soul. I'm hoping that it will help you in some way, whether you are a parent or not. You can identify an inspirational role model to develop a relationship with or get healed while nurturing others in a greater community. The way that you have turned out to this point was not your fault without the information and awareness. But from now on, knowing that you have the power to control your mind for a new future, it will be your responsibility to end the past, end the blaming, and leave the past in the past. How to change your thoughts and feelings. We need emotions. Without them, we wouldn't bother to get out of bed or do anything. As humans, our behaviours are driven by our emotions. However, instead of being enslaved by our negative emotions, which are generated from a memory of a past event, we can master our emotions to feel the more elevated ones, such as happiness, joy, compassion, and peace. Why do some people seem to be happy all the time, while others are not? For them, being happy is a habit. It's what they focus their attention on. Do you focus on the cup being half full or half empty? Our mind and body are intimately connected. What you think arouses how you feel and becomes a learnt behaviour over the years that is wired in your brain and conditioned in your body by automatically altering your breathing, posture, the language patterns you use, and even triggering a chain of biochemical changes in your body at different states. You can change your state of being by disrupting it anywhere in the chain of thought, feelings, and behaviour. If you want to change, you simply need to break the mould and stop feeding that emotion you want to change. It's like breaking an addiction. The parallel is that your emotion does alter your biochemistry in the body like any recreational drugs would do. It takes willpower, faith in your ability to carry through, and belief that it's going to be worth it in the end. You first need to learn to be aware of any negative thoughts or critical voice that feeds that negative emotion. Awareness of your state of being is the first step for change. You can easily stop your negative thoughts in their tracks once you are aware of them by simply altering your breathing, posture, and internal self-talk. You can also change your behaviour by putting on your favourite music, or run for 5 minutes, or do something you love to change your mood and energy. Negative emotion is a memory wired in the brain and felt in the body in the same way as the happy emotions are. You might be able to recall some amazing memories when you listen to a piece of music or smell some nice cooking that reminds you of your childhood home. So, make sure that you select your favourite music that lifts your mood. There's a vast amount of evidence supporting the idea that exercise can help release the happy hormones, including endorphins, dopamine, and serotonin. Even if you feel resistance at the beginning, if you go out for a walk or run, you will always feel more alert and more focused afterwards. This gives you total satisfaction and joy with yourself after the exercise. So, just give yourself a gentle push and set yourself a target of doing some regular exercise daily for 30 days. You're going to get used to it because this is how our nervous system works. If you make a decision to react differently to how you would normally react to a situation, you're going to see a different result than what you would normally get. It's often not responding to a situation that pays the ultimate reward. Try it out. Experiment with it for maximum effect. It's quite a magical moment once you break that pattern. You know that you have done it, and you can do it again in the future. Celebrate your victory. If possible, try to avoid people or things that trigger your negative thoughts or emotions. One of the mothers, E., who I visited, suffered from postnatal depression with her first 2 children. Her mother suffered from depression all her life and had lived a separate life from her father. Although E. had a great relationship with her father, she made a very tough decision not to see her mother much at all because she drained her. She subsequently reported feeling a sense of well-being during her current 3rd pregnancy. She also reported an improved relationship with her husband and her 2 older children. I know very well that it's easier said than done sometimes to avoid people who affect us negatively due to the different cultural influences and moral values that we have. As I mentioned earlier, a song could trigger some sad feelings such as you had at the time when you broke up with your childhood sweetheart. If that's the case, you must delete that soundtrack from your album if you want to feel happy again. Reflect daily on how far you have come and cherish the wisdom you gained from the past. You deserve a second chance to be truly happy and fulfilled. Give it to yourself. By now, you're developing new thought and feeling patterns that are more beneficial for your future self. But there is another layer of self that you need to be aware of. Your value belief system, critical factor filter, which is largely influenced by your upbringing. You and your partner probably have different value belief systems, particularly if you are from different cultural backgrounds. Your brain only allows information through the filter when it fits your value belief system by its ability to generalize, delete, and distort information. We are all inundated with information throughout the day, with over 400 billion bits of information per second being processed via our 5 senses, so that the brain needs to make some executive decisions to make sense of the world quickly. So, what appears to be truthful for you may not be for someone else with a different perspective. As a conscious human being, we have the ability to recognize our thought patterns, negative traits, or dysfunctional conflicts. Once we become aware of such, we're able to choose what we want to achieve and where we want to go, and decide by making a choice and taking actions towards a constructive and productive outcome. Knowing what we now know, we can train our brain to be more kind, loving, nurturing, supporting, and encouraging towards our inner child. We can heal our wounds if we choose to. You are one decision away from living a happy life and making everyone around you happy.